implications then of how one leads to get that? How would we have to change ourselves to change the outcome we desire?
Okay, so leadership, you know, it's one of those, I guess I want to start with what the current structure or construction of leadership is. You know, it's a topic I think that is eminently fascinating, eminently elusive. It's sort of a conundrum, but we have this notion of that leadership is about certain kinds of attributions and certain kinds of characteristics, and if we acquired those and did them really, really well, that our organizations would respond with great robustness and great productivity, because we can just do stuff and people will be, you know, sort of input equals output. And I think we understand that that is illusory. It's just not going to happen, no matter, you know. It's not that leaders don't have individual characteristics, of course they do, but for me it's all about creating conditions by design that make behaviors of the system and the individuals within the system more likely. So my individual behaviors relate to that question, not to who I am and how smart I am, but it's about my capacity as a storyteller and as a designer and map maker to create conditions that really enroll and ignite and nurture others. Yeah. So the current model of leadership is, of course, top-down, and it's all about control, and it's all about predictability, it's about mandates, and it's about prescription, and it's about all those kinds of things. I think that the most challenging thing about leadership for me is that it's first an inside job, and that you cannot create what you've not become. Yeah. So it's not about doing first. Of course, it is about doing. But it's also about who we are and how authentic we are. It's not about the authority as it is about the authenticity. It's about whether we call it walking the talk, being transparent, being vulnerable, speaking your own truth and inviting people to speak theirs. It's a process of internal transformation first, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to lay this on top of the organization, or I'm going to lay this on top of everybody and tell everybody what they have to do, but I'm not going to be that myself.
I think many people are hanging on to that illusion that I can't give up control, or, you know, in a corporate environment, you don't want the inmates running the asylum. You know, it's kind of
the inmates running the asylum, right?
Can you just speak to that a little bit? I'd just love to get your take on it.
Well, I think, you know, we touched on this before. If the mental model is a mechanical, bureaucratic, hierarchically fixed system based on positional authority, based on hoarding information, you know, there are certain levels of information and you can get it. Knowledge is power, but it's my power, and I can't give it to you because then you'll know as much as me, and then where will I be? It is control of dimensions, the structures and processes of a system. And you can control that. You can write the policy. You can make a declaration. You can issue a proclamation. You can reward. You can punish. You can fire, hire, create toxic environments, or create generative ones. I mean, there is some level of, quote, control. When you hold that mindset of span of control or direct reports or all of the things that we think about it, largely in terms of corporate sector, but that's manifested in schools too. It's the same. It's the same subset. When you talk about what I call a different ROI, I mean, I've thought a lot about, you know, what's the return on investment of a new learning model? What's the return on investment of generative learning conditions? What's the return on investment of decidedly different minds that are integral, that are connected, that are wise, that really look at their work on the planet besides their work in the corporation. So I listed for the Illinois Math and Science Academy going back several years. We wrote our annual report, or our 20-year report, I should say, on a different ROI, and we called it a return on imagination, a return on innovation, a return on inquiry, a return on invention, a return on ingenuity, a return on interdependence, a return on integration. And that's how we wrote it. So what's our return on inquiry? Here are the questions that our kids have asked and begun to answer. What's our return on imagination? Here are the new ideas that have emerged. Here are the new companies like YouTube that have emerged from. So I think that's that's part of the letting go. That if the return is just on the classical quarterly report, stock price, earnings per share, we know you can control that. You can not only you can control it, you can manipulate it.
Yeah. Right.
Right? We know how to do that.
Right.
But it doesn't get you to the long-term, the real long-term meaning and purpose of the organization.